Hey guys, welcome back to Heritage Hollow Homestead. Today I'm going to talk about seed saving and how to choose the right plants to seed save from. So let's get started. Hey guys, okay, so I'm out here in the garden. We have been gone for a few days on a quick trip, and we came back to half of my corn being blown over. You can see it there. So sad. A windstorm came through and pushed over a lot of my corn. A lot of it held up, but I would say at least 30 or 40% of it, it's kind of iffy whether it's going to make it or not. But also, while we were gone, when the garden goes unattended for a few days, things tend to get a little overgrown. And so I came home to some different fruits that were past what I would like them to be as far as harvest size. So I thought it would be a good time to show you how to choose what to seed save from, and show you how, if you have some things like cucumbers or squash or zucchini that just, there's always one that gets hidden away somewhere and you just don't see it for a while. When you finally find it's too big, you can save those, let those continue to grow, and then seed save from them. So I'm going to show you what some of those look like that have just happened this week. But also, I have had some that have been purposely already had let those be growing to seed save from, and some plants that I had already marked in my garden notebook where they were that I wanted to seed save from. And I started planning this months ago for a lot of my seed saving. So seed saving starts way before you actually harvest your seeds, okay? And that actually, the seed saving begins, the whole process of it, when you plant your plants and then as you watch them grow. So the first thing I watch for in my garden whenever my plants begin to grow is I begin to look for the plants that are growing the fastest and the plants that seem to be the most bug resistant. Okay, and so as I watch those grow, grow the fastest, be the most bug resistant, look the overall the healthiest, and then the one plant that puts on fruit first, that is the plant that I will either actually mark, like put a marker or a flag beside of it, or take note of it and write that down somewhere. And I make plans then to seed save from that plant and from the fruit of it. So let me go over here. I purposely have marked this squash plant a long time ago, and so this squash has been growing for quite a long time. It's down here. It's gotten really big and bumpy. It's super thick skinned and hard. I would not necessarily want to eat this, but I have been planning on seed saving this squash. So there was a plant here. This plant's basically died now. I'm about to pull all of my squash and zucchini plants out because our heat being 110 has just, and lots of rain, torrential rain this last week has just done my plants in. But about a month and a half ago, about a month and a half ago, this plant grew the fastest, it looked the healthiest, it had no squash bugs on it, it's the most resistant to blight or anything of that nature, and it put on fruit first. So I purposely marked it, and I have been watching that one little fruit right there and have purposely marked it to leave it there, not harvest it, so that it could purposely grow beyond what I would prefer it to as far as eating. And here in a week or so I will harvest that and save the seeds from it. So squash and zucchini and cucumbers, you really have to let them grow very large till they get very thick skin. They'll get discolored, they'll look different, and really let them just sit for a long time before you pull those off the vine, because we are wanting the seeds inside of them to be fully matured. The seeds inside them will go from being flat to being full, like a thicker seed, and those will be the best seeds to seed save from. So that is squash and zucchini. Okay guys, I want to just break in here for a minute, and I want to remind you, before you even start seed saving, it is important to know what you planted and if what you planted is open pollinated or an heirloom plant, because those are the two types of plants that you're going to want to be able to seed save from. If you planted plants, like if you bought them from the store and they said hybrid on them on the little marker, those are not going to be your best option when it comes to seed saving from. Now, you can try to seed save from those, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get a plant that grows next year from your seed that you saved that looks anything like what you bought at the store this year and harvested from. And what happens is they have cross-pollinated, taken two different plants, pollinated them with each other like a mother and a father plant, and they've done this to produce desirable traits of, like, say, two different types of tomatoes or two different types of squash or zucchini or whatever it may be. If you seed save from that hybrid plant, that the mother and father plant were pollinated together, two different types, totally different types of plants, pollinated, cross-pollinated, and then they took seeds from that, they grew the plant that you bought. You plant that plant and you have a harvest of this hybrid fruit. The problem is the seeds, the genetics are not have not had time to stabilize, because this has just happened within the first growing. Those genetics are not stable, and so when you seed save from that, the genetics in that seed will do a few different things with the hybrid. They can either revert back to the mother plant or the father plant, and you don't know what those are. That could be something bitter. That could be something that you just don't like. It could be something really weird that you wouldn't have even expected. So when you plant the seeds the next year, a fruit could pop up on those plants, and you'd be like, what in the world is this? Second thing that could happen is you could have plants grow and take up space in your garden and time in which you could have been growing something that would be productive, and instead you plant this hybrid seed that you've seed saved from, plant it, and then it grows plants, but nothing ever happens. They will not produce any fruit, and I've had that happen in the past. I know this to be a fact, that they can just grow great looking green plants, but no fruit will ever grow on those plants. So that's also a very valid option. And the third option is you're not just going to get anything. And whenever it comes to taking up valuable garden space and time, when it is crucial for you to be growing food, for you to take up the amount of time it would take, we're talking 60 to 90 days for you to even know that it's not going to produce or that you're not going to like the fruit of it. That is just not a risk that I'm willing to take when I only have so much garden space and every foot of my garden is so valuable to me. So I only grow heirloom open pollinated seeds. These are seeds that have their genetics have stabilized, and when you seed save from them and you plant that seed the next year, you're going to get back basically the same plant and produce the same fruit that you had the year before. Now you can have a little bit of cross-pollination issues. That doesn't happen a lot. You may have your beans cross-pollinate. You might get a pole bean instead of a bush bean, but overall you're still going to get a bean and it's still going to produce fruit. You're still going to get a tomato. It may be a slightly different color or shape, but you're still going to get guaranteed to get fruit, even if it cross-pollinates. And so that is why I always choose heirlooms, and that's why I think heirlooms are so important. One of the many reasons why I think heirlooms are so important, because I just love being able to just grow something, seed save from it. And if I grow one cucumber, this one cucumber is going to provide me with the opportunity to regrow up to 100 more cucumber plants that could each give me 40 or 50 more cucumbers. So that's crazy when you really think about it. Alrighty, and so let's get back to seed saving. Let's see, I have some cucumbers, let me think. think they are over here, that I purposely planned from the beginning that I wanted to seed save from. There was one right here in the corner. Let me find it. Oh, it's right here. Okay. My garden is like a jungle. Like, it is a mess. Okay, so down here, these are bush beans, but under here, I don't know if you can see that, the cucumbers almost turned white. It is huge. Is a cucumber right here. Let me get it. A cucumber. See how it has now like discolored. Let me get all my plants out of the way so you can see. There we go. Okay, so this very overgrown, would not taste good. I would not want to eat that, but this cucumber plant was the first one to put on fruit at the beginning of the year. And so I purposely marked it, and I've been watching that cucumber to seed save from. I will get probably 100 or more seeds from that one cucumber. That is a Market More cucumber. And then I have a Boston pickling cucumber that I have marked to seed save, and it is over here. Okay, so I have a Boston pickling cucumber marked over here. Oh gosh, my sunflower has grown into this. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pull it in. There we go. And it has turned a really weird orangish color. Bee on me. So that just shows how different types may turn a different color. But this one, I had that one marked to seed save from as well. Now, since then, I've had a couple of more cucumbers. These are all Boston pickling down through here. Here is another one. You can see that it is also that orangish kind of color. I'll seed save from that one too. That is actually one that just overgrew. I missed it before I left. I didn't get it harvested. And in this last week, lots of rain and heat has caused it to grow very quickly. And so I'll be able to seed save from that. Okay, so that covers squash and zucchini. Now let's talk about things like tomatoes. So tomatoes, you do not let them grow past they're not like squash or cucumbers. You don't let them grow past their time. You simply let them come to harvest, and then you take the seeds from them. The good thing about seed saving from tomatoes is you can still eat the fruit. You can glean the seeds out of a fully ripened tomato and put those to the side, seed save those, and you didn't even waste a tomato. When I am choosing tomatoes, let me come over here to my purple Cherokee. I actually harvested all the ripe ones from over here. Let's see if we can get over here and talk. Anyway, so my purple Cherokee, these are heirlooms. All of the plants that I have in here are heirlooms. But these, oops, sorry, that's so shaky. They can get very overripe and they can crack. So when I'm seed saving from a tomato, I want to choose the best shape and size. I want to choose the what looks like if you're going to take it to one tomato to the fair and enter it for a contest, which one would I choose? And then I will pick that kind of tomato, best color, best overall shape and size, and that is what I will seed save from. And the same thing with my peppers. I will choose the first ones to come to harvest. Also, you can choose your first tomatoes to come to harvest. Peppers, I would choose my first ones to come to harvest, to ripen, to change color, and that have the best shape. And for the peppers, you can simply let them just sit and dry out, or you could string them up and let them dry out that way and then save from them. Let's see, let's talk about beans. Let's come down here. Let's see if we can find some beans to talk about. Okay, so here I have lots of bush beans, and they just harvested from these as well. But whenever a bush bean is small, I don't know if we'll be able to see, like little like that. When they're little, the seeds are immature in them. The longer you let a bush bean or a pole bean grow, the fatter and the more mature the seeds inside of them, the bean is the seed inside of them, those are going to grow. And so if you're picking beans just to eat, you don't want to let them go too long because the beans start to get a little tough, unless you're going to be seed saving from them, in which case you're going to let those beans grow until they are really full, till they're just bursting at their seams with the beans inside, with the bean seeds inside. And then you actually want to let them preferably dry out on the bush. So my first bush beans that came to harvest were actually the bush beans that were growing around my potato plants. So I made a short video about that before, that I love planting bush beans around my potato plants because the bush beans give a lot of nitrogen back to the potatoes that they need. So I have here a potato bed. These are not ready to harvest yet, but there is a border all the way around them of bush beans in the same bed. These were the first bush beans that came ready to harvest. They were the first ones to put on beans. And so I decided that I was not going to harvest any of my beans from this one bed, and I will harvest all of these beans as being seed. Okay, so you can see here, let me come in here close. Okay, this bean is really getting swollen with the beans inside. Show you another one. Okay, see how fat those are getting. Okay, so I'm letting them grow to this point. They will go past this point, they will start to feel a bit leathery. And here's one that I may be able to show you. As they get leathery, they actually begin to just feel dried out, and they get more yellowy, more shriveled up, and then they will actually turn brown. And once they turn brown, that is when I will know that these are ready to that the seed, the bean inside of it, is dry, and I will be able to harvest the seed out of those. So if my potatoes are ready to harvest before these beans on these plants have fully dried, what I will do is I will actually pull up the bean plants by their root. I will hang them upside down in my garage or somewhere where there's airflow, and I will let these beans continue to dry on the plant. And then once the pods are totally dried out and brown, then I will pop them open and save the bean seed from them. So while that may seem like a weird thing to do, to not harvest at all from an entire group of beans, we plant a lot of bean seed, and green bean seeds are something that has been in short supply the last few years. Even I work for a seed company, and it's hard for me to even get my hands on the amount that I need to plant before they sell out early in the year. So I am making saving bean seeds on the top of my list. So saving an entire bed of plants just for seed is really going to help me secure that. And I will be seed saving for my pole beans as well. However, let me show you the difference in what is happening between, alright, pole beans, Japanese beetles, love them. They struggle continually. Even when I try to put some organic spray on here, it doesn't phase the Japanese beetles. They just come back over and over again. So my pole beans continually struggle because of the pest, because of all the pests. And so they are not putting on a lot of beans. In theory, you would always get more beans from pole beans, but in my case, the pest pressure is just so heavy on my pole beans, I'm not getting a lot. And then I can take you down here and show you. Same bed. Down here are bush beans right next to them. You can tell there is very minimal pest damage to these. So bush beans are where I'm going to be shifting my focus to. I'll still grow a few things of pole beans, but consistently the last few years my bush beans have produced more beans than my pole beans. So that's why I'm focusing on saving mainly bush beans. If you're going to seed save peas, they will be like the green beans. You will allow them to dry out in their pods, and then you will shell them and make sure that there's no moisture in them. You can check your bean, the shells, the outer layer of the bean seeds or peas by pressing your fingernail into them, and if you get an indentation, then they may still have too much moisture to store away to seed save with. You may need to let them sit out and dry out a little bit more. Almost forgot to talk about one of my favorites, and that is okra. This okra is still a little small baby okra plant, but if you plan on seed saving your okra, what you'll want to do is let the okra on a couple of your stalks grow until they are very hard and woody. They will actually dry out and be very hard and fibrous, and the seeds will actually, you can hear them shake inside, and you'll know that they are dry and they are ready. You can crack that okra open and then save those seeds. So we love some okra around here, so don't want to forget that one. So that is the basics to seed saving for the basic things that you'd be growing in your garden. But I just want you to remember that seed saving doesn't start when you say, oh, I want to save some seed. It starts when you first plant. Then you need to watch your plants and plan ahead to mark those out and plan to seed save from the ones that grow the fastest, the ones that are most resistant to pests, the ones that come to harvest first. Those are the fruit and the plants that you are going to want to seed save from. And I'm sure this is not super in-depth. It's mainly, I just wanted to share with you the thought process of planning on seed saving from the time you plant and not waiting till the end of the season to try to choose what you want to seed save from. Go ahead and start that early. Mark your plants, and then you will not forget to seed save, and then you will be getting the healthiest and the most productive genetics, and that's what we want to take on to our next year of gardening. Like, one last thing, I'll show you this. So I planted 4 cabbages. 3 of them just got demolished by pests. This one did not. I'm purposely saving this cabbage to seed save from because of its amazing pest resistance. We have such a hard time with white cabbage moths here that they just, in one day you can, overnight I can like wake up the next morning and my entire brassica area of the garden can be wiped out. So seed saving for pest resistance alone with my brassicas it's so important here for where I am. So I am purposely growing this one to seed save from, and I also have broccoli behind me as well. This broccoli hopefully will go to seed here pretty soon. It's working on it. This has been, out of about 10 plants, these 2 plants were the most resistant to pest, and so I am saving these. That's why they're still here growing in the middle of the hot July. Summer garden is because I'm planning on seed saving from these. Alright guys, so those are just the few tips that I have to get you started on seed saving. My last and probably most important tip, do not forget that the best way to seed save is to begin with heirloom seeds, because the heirloom seeds are stable, and they are going to give you back a more stable result when you replant those seeds from them that you seed save year after year. So go for the heirloom seeds anytime you can. And I believe that now more than ever it is so important to begin to learn how to seed save, even if it's just a few of your favorite crops, because what we're running into in the seed world, and I say this from experience of working with a seed company and really having a pretty good pulse on what's going on in the seed world, is that don't really know for sure exactly what the issues are. I have my own thoughts and reasoning of what I think is happening, but without going into all that, what is happening is people are buying from what should be fairly reputable companies, where even for heirloom seeds, for just regular seeds, they're buying them from the store, and they are planting these seeds, and they are either not having anything happen at all. These seeds, either the germination rates are horrible and they are not growing at all, or they're just having all types of crop failures in their gardens. Home gardeners are, from the seeds that they have bought this last year. Some of these have been from seeds they bought at big box stores. Some of these have been from some very popular, hugely popular heirloom seed companies. And I know, like I have watched several YouTubers talk about certain seed companies they have bought from, that they've grown from years, and for whatever reason this year they planted some of their seed and it did not produce anything at all. So it is very, very important for you to seed save to guarantee that you have seed for the next year. We cannot only depend on these big companies to be able to provide the seed that we need and guarantee that that seed is going to actually grow. As more gardeners, and I truly believe that we're going to see so many more gardeners in the next year or two start to try to learn how to grow their own stuff, that is going to put more pressure on the seed companies, and seeds are going to be in higher demand. Prices are going to go up as a result. Just simple supply and demand. And the cheapest, most economic, most foolproof way of guaranteeing that you'll be able to grow a garden next year is to seed save from your heirloom seeds, and to learn how to do it now, so that when it does become crucially important to seed save, you already know how. And when it does become crucial to garden, that you have seed saved, and you're going to have seeds that are going to genetically be superior because of the choices that you've made that I just told you. Plan for what comes to harvest first and has the most pest resistance, maybe the most drought resistant if you are having any issues of that nature, and has the most appealing looking fruit if you're going for like tomatoes and such as that. We need to do these things. These are important skills to learn, and I just want to encourage you guys that you can. It is so simple to start to seed save. I'm going to be doing several more seed saving videos in the coming weeks. I'm going to show you how to seed save tomato seeds, because you can't just pull out the seeds and just save them, and we'll get into that. And how to properly store your seeds for long-term germination, increased germination rates. Lots of things we're going to be talking about. Seed saving is so important. I'm going to do several videos on this, so stay tuned. And if you would like to follow along and learn more about seed saving, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you have not, so that you will not miss out on these super beneficial videos to learn this important skill. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I'll see you in a few days. Bye.